Hey YouTube, Roblox Academy here, and for a while now I've been wanting to make a series that touched on topics like scripting and animating, so I can help you, the viewer, make your own Roblox games as well as I work on mine. So here I am now coming out with the Academy series, and for the first part of it, it's going to be about how to rig a custom model in Roblox, which deals with a little bit more animating as well as a little bit of scripting if you want to get into that. So please do let me know if you'd like to see more of these videos by either liking, subbing, or commenting, because by doing that you tell me what I should upload and if this will be the good way to go for it. So in order to get started, you need Animator and Lite. Both will be in the description below, but this tutorial is more so towards people that already have the common knowledge of the plugin or have it downloaded and want to succeed in more in what they're doing. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn a dummy from Roblox, and before I get to modeling or rigging my custom model, I'm going to show you how to rig a regular Roblox model, which is the R15. I'm not going to do the R6, it's the similar process, but first you'll just use Lite to see how it's set up, and then you're going to work off that into another dummy, which you're going to copy and paste in just a second here. But first I'm just going to make a rig test real quick, and then I'm going to add this dummy into the rig test, and this will just show me how the parts are going to function. So I'm just going to move them around a little bit, make sure everything is working and it's how it's supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, you want to rig that parts like kind of come off like this, that have it anchored at a certain point where they can bend, looks normal, and not floating midair, which I'll show you a little bit more later on. But for this first part, I'm just going to test out, make sure everything's working fine. I'm just going to copy this, and now Animator does this thing where you can't use the same model with the same name. So I'm just going to name one of these dummy 1, and then this other one dummy 2, and that will fix the problem right there. Well, first, before I even add it to the rig test, I'm going to delete all the joints for it. And the joints, you'll see these little orbs. You can do that via workspace, or you can do that via Lite. I'm just going to do it via Lite and destroy everything, destroy all these little joints you see here. And this will give me a fresh start, because in order to do that, it'll basically be a test of what your custom rig will look like when you first bring it to Roblox. It won't be jointed together depending on what thing you use, but I'm just going to use EC Weld from Animate to make it work. So there's also this little trick I noticed where you can hold Alt and Shift, and you can access the part in a model and Shift, so you can grab both at the same time. So after you're done connecting all the joints to the model, you're going to then put both the fresh one you just made and the old one you just made, both dummies, into Animator. And then I'm going to see this one right here, if it's working, and you want to move around via the torso so you can figure out if all the parts are connected, and everything is connected. But you can see that something is off. When I move everything around, it's kind of like disconnected in a way. Even though it's connected, it's kind of disconnected and doesn't get the same satisfaction feeling. And that's because it's not rigged to the best it can be, which you can see here, comparing them both. One arm goes up more, the other one is kind of disconnected in a way. Because you want a smooth animation, and by doing that, you need to rig the model properly for it to even begin. So let's get right to that. You're going to open Lite after selecting the model, and it's going to show you something like this. Now you can either do it on 1 increment or 0. I like to do it on 0 because it's just the smoothest one you can do, and you can actually modify it just like how you want. So I'm going to put it right here, and this is also tracing off how the dummy in Roblox already looks. So the way about how to rig is if the joint is a little bit above the part, it'll actually make it act like it was anchored, because these are like anchoring points. So you want to move the joint a little bit up above the part, but not too far up, or else it will look awkward and come off the part completely. So I'm just going to do the same for these down here. I'm going to move them up just slightly, or enough where it's inside the other part, making it just a bit better. And you can now compare this to the other dummy as well to see if you're doing it correctly. And you want to do this as many times as you can to get a lot of tests in, to make sure that everything you're doing is just like the Roblox dummy without even looking. This way you get a proper understanding how rigging works. Because now if I go back to this, I mean both arms, they now are on the same level and they're both doing the same thing. A little bit different is how I did it, but basically you got relatively to the same. That's how you want to be able to rig your custom model. You want to be able to rig it like this, where all the parts are now on it, not discombobulated or anything like that, as that's usually how it's supposed to be. So let's move on to the next part, your actual model. So right here I have my golem model, and I'm going to be rigging this. But first of all, you want to do a little bit of prep before you do so, which you want to ungroup things. you want to name certain parts, and instead of naming every single part on your model to get it specific, do how a dummy rig does it in Roblox R15, of course. You want to name certain base parts like lower torso, left foot, right arm, right upper arm, right lower arm, things like that. Make it simple. So you want to make the base first stuff, and then you want to, all the details can just be jointed on without having an actual name. It's up to you how you want to do it, but I like doing it this way. This way I don't have to name every single part, just the main parts that will make it work, and then everything will just be added onto it, making this process so much faster, easier, and better to be able to coordinate. Now for bigger parts like these that have multiple parts and they're in a group, you just want to leave it in a group and you want to take one part out of that, which can be the anchoring point, like a joint, and add everything onto it like that, or that's around it. So for these wings, I'm just going to find the center point by doing Alt-Shift, pressing into the model because it's already grouped together. I can select anything I want in the model, and then I'm going to name it base, but I'm just actually going to name them both to left wing and right wing. This way I can have that one base part I can attach to the upper torso, and that will be the one thing controlling all the parts at once. So I'm just going to go ahead and join these together, and that will be that. And that's how you can tackle bigger models that have a lot of points. After you're satisfied with how things are turned out, you're going to then group it together, because usually I have mine ungrouped. This way I can select everything at once, and then you're going to make a humanoid root part for it, which I just use the lower torso, then I give it back to the position it had before, turn the transparency to 1, and then name it humanoid root part. But this will be very important to making the model work without a humanoid being inside of it. I'm just going to rename it, take the primary part, and put it to the humanoid root part, and then I can actually use rig light from here, to combine all the parts together. Because of course you can use easy weld, but rig light, you just can be on top of things. So I'm just going to do it via workspace, which is the other method I told you earlier, and I'm just going to do it like this. And as you go throughout rigging it, you definitely want to test it now and then in Moon Animator if it actually is fully rigged or not. This way you can make sure all the parts are on it. So I'm just going to move it now with the lower torso, and I'm missing my lower arms. This is why it's great to do this method and test it out while you're doing it. This way you don't forget to add something and you expect it to be done and it's not done. But it's an easy fix. I can use easy weld, Alt-Shift, and that should bring everything together. And there we go. Now everything is together. We can now continue working on how to fully rig it, because right now you can see it's in the state of how a Roblox character was earlier. Everything is on it, but the joints are not quite moving, and it's going to be very awkward to make an animation with it, as it would come out something like this. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want something like that, so I'm going to rig it real quick using the method we used earlier. Just move everything up one joint, and we should be fine. If you made it this far into the video, I really do appreciate it. I hope this has been useful so far, as I'm trying to get this series going. So again, if you have any input or like to see anything come out of this series, please do let me know via commenting, subbing, or liking the video, and I definitely will try and get more of these out for y'all. So let me make a quick animation with this and see what I can get up to. But with everything in place, the animation should be coming out much more smoother and nothing should be rocky. Pun intended. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you can rig a custom model you import into Roblox. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was really useful to y'all, because this method has been really useful to me as I've been using it myself to rig my custom models. And I just wanted to share this as a first episode of the series. So if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to hit that like button so I know that I'm on the right track, as well as subbing and commenting before hitting the bell. And as always, and until next time, peace!